everyone please rise? Let me ask you to join me in prayer, please. Father God, we come to you so thankful for the rain you have given us and the hopes that the predictions of the weathermen will lead to more rain and help our situation. And yet, as all greedy children, we want more, Lord. We need it. We need considerably more to fill our tanks and our lakes and our reservoirs and remove the awesome concern that's over everyone about this water situation. And Lord, in doing that, help us to rethink and to be better stewards of your resources that you give us. Father, we ask you to look after us as we deliberate and serve you and the citizens of Wichita County. We ask you to watch over the men and women that provide in uniform the service and safety to the citizens through a number of different ways. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Y'all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you very much. Take your seats, please. If I could ask the court to look at the consent agenda and take action, please.
Judge, I've been through the consent agenda and would move for approval.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Preston and a second by Commissioner Mahler to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any comments or questions on any of the items? I do, just for the audience, want to say that the agreement that we're approving here with the City of Burke Burnett parallels the agreements we have with the City of Wichita Falls on the water, that they're going to start through a new dispensing system to make available to residents who are not on the water system. We'll follow the same deal, Commissioners. We'll have this on our website. Nancy, if you'll be sure that George gets the application and everything posted that we have for that. And then people can call the office to get those. And in each of the precincts, most of it's probably going to fall in precinct 2, but there might be some others that didn't fill out the stuff to use Riley Road that now are going to go to Burke Burnett for it. And they'll have to do the same thing there. But their plan is very, very close to what was created here. Okay. Having given that information, I'd ask for the vote then. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 1 on the general business is to review and approve the emergency and regular bills for payment.
I reviewed and approved emergency and regular bills for payment.
Thanks, sir.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez, a second by Commissioner Mahler to approve the emergency and regular bills for payment. Any comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 2 is discuss, consider, or take action to award a bid for culvert replacements for Brock Reed Road, Precinct 4. Commissioner Preston.
Judge, this agenda request, by the way, Mr. Wall, thanks for the help on all this stuff we put together, is the BRINSAP match on the BRINSAP program. When Commissioner Norris finished Holman Road in Burke, we needed a match for that, and I have one with a box culvert that is not in good shape on Brock Reed Road. And if you'll turn to the sheet that I sent to Willie that says Willie Wall up at the top of it, I believe it's the third sheet, you'll see that location 405 is the match bridge for Holman Road, and that's due in April of 15. And also in this proposal is location 404, which is the Enterprise Road project, and that is off in the future. It was one time set at 2015 we would be tickled to death if it would make this year, but it's certainly not going to. But it is the last wood deck bridge in Wichita County on the county road system. It's a small pony truss that has the boards. I know Barry has seen it, and Woody and you and Ray may have. The boards are cut and put in there vertically within the runners across the bridge, and so we need that one replaced. But that is the match for that when that occurs. And then finally, location 403. All these bridges are all together. They were poured by county forces. We don't know when. Very little reinforcing steel in them. The location 403 we can use as a match whenever we get a BRINSAP program in the future. And the reason that we put all three of them on there is truly mobilization. It will take, as long as you're going to mobilize for one structure, you might as well finish the one. We know that Enterprise is on the list to be replaced with the BRINSAP program. And 403 gives us insurance into the future. So we took bids on those. We had a engineering firm that did the set of plans for us a 3 years ago, and took bids. Fulton Construction was the low bidder at $157,420, and we feel like that's a good, strong bid, and the funding would come from Precinct 5 with payment back out of Precinct 4 monies instead of the 10 that we normally transfer into that fund. Precinct 4 would put in $20,000 a year until our indebtedness to that is paid. So that's where we are. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Let me go back to, you mentioned one of those was that wooden bridge. Is that, Commissioner Gonzalez and I went out and looked at the old trestle structures that are wooden covered that are part of the North Texas Rural Trail Railroad, that from here to Holiday, that we set up that council years ago, and that land was purchased from Burlington Northern and has those. Will those need some new wood covering or repairs? Is that any possibility of salvaging that treated wood, that it could be used for that?
For whenever we have replacement replacement boards on the Enterprise Bridge?
Yeah, is it, when it gets done, isn't that going to be torn completely out in that box culvert structure? Is that part of your 3 here? You were talking about it?
Judge, I really don't know what, at China Creek there at Enterprise is just so deep. I would liken it to Ray's Longley and Hacker.
Yeah.
That are deep, probably take a 2-barrel culvert, but I'm thinking a minimum of a 9x6, 9x8, maybe a 2-barrel structure to fit in there. Now the bridge will come out, and we've used those bridges. Used one at the Iowa Park Lake that came from down on South Peterson, if you'll recall. Now, are you suggesting that we might use that over on those railroads?
Yes,
on
sir.
the railroad?
Deck,
Yeah.
I guess is what you're really
Yeah,
talking
for that
about.
decking, whether those boards that have been, turned vertical on that are the deck, whether those would work either that way or the other way. I'm just thinking if they...
And I don't know the answer to that, Judge. We get our lumber to replace that bridge deck. There's a firm in Bowie in Montague County that takes those telephone poles and will cut those creosote poles.
Yeah.
And so they're a couple inches wide and 3 inches deep, and you stand them vertically before you put the runners down.
Is that bridge, maybe I've misunderstood something, is that bridge one you're going to do in this
No.
157?
No.
Oh, okay.
It will be a
Future project.
future project, but those of you that have been over that structure know that it needs replacing. The thing to remember on the BRINSAP program is that we compete with 254 counties. That's the reason that we might have Bonner Road up at Pass. It was programmed for 2014 with Holman, and it keeps getting bumped back because there's greater need in the other counties. But this will keep us in good shape, and I suspect the third structure here will be our replacement for Bonner. Didn't put that down, but I suspect that's in the future.
Wonder if C-TERS is going to pick up any of those bridges across the state.
The problem is
They've got some challenges in places with that.
I'd rather use the BRNSAP program with a 10% match
Sure.
than the CTER with a 20% match.
I'm just wondering if that'll pick up, take some of the slack off in some of these other counties that might
Could.
help us bump back up the list is what
A
I'm
good
thinking.
point. Good
Well,
point.
yeah.
there's
If you had
some
one that was a higher
places-
priority,
Yeah.
paying
Then-
20% is still better than 100%.
Yeah.
True.
It might help us move back up the list a little.
And if in the oil field impacted areas, if they have a bridge is certainly eligible in CTERS, and there might be some that will go in and usurp the BRNSAP program just to get that done. That's a good point.
But these bridges that you're talking about, I've been over them, and they're just catching traffic now that they weren't really ever designed to handle, and they really need to be addressed. We need to get started on it, and that's what you're doing. Is
Yes.
getting started on the project.
Well, there's the three of them. I would make the motion then, Judge, that we award this bid to Fulton Construction at $157,420 to be paid out of the Precinct 5 monies with reimbursement to that fund from Precinct 4.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Preston, second by Commissioner Mahler, that we award the bid to Fulton Construction with the payment being made from Precinct 5 funds and reimbursed over a 10-year period at $10,000 a year by Precinct 4 in
That's
the
correct.
budget process. Okay. Okay, any comments or questions on that motion?
You know, as a matter of note, Judge, when you look at those structures, and Barry, I know you have, it wouldn't surprise me if those things weren't poured because of the different looking concrete with a wheelbarrow, Judge, back in the 20s.
I bet.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
You know, they made us mix them on site.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that may have been WPA projects or something like that.
It was a major innovation in the 20s, by the way, when that deal
Yeah.
was put in. That was opened that whole area up. But they're getting things across them now that they weren't ever really designed for.
Absolutely.
Okay, call for the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 3 is discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve a proposal from Commercial Industrial Electronics Incorporated for a video surveillance system at a total cost of $5,770 plus additional material and labor costs if needed. Approve a quote from Office Furniture USA for 2 desks and 2 folding tables at a cost not to exceed $1,447, including delivery and setup, and a flat screen TV from Sam's Club at a cost $248 for the adult probation department for a total cost of $7,465 to be paid from funds budgeted by Department 599 by transfers to appropriate lines as determined by the county auditor. Ms. Rogers is here to speak to that. Why don't you tell us about that project? If you don't mind, step up towards that microphone there, please.
The security camera system is just an update. We have one right now, just kind of outdated, so we want to just update the existing system. And then the flat screen TV is for training and substance use treatment. We have a training room and just updating the equipment in that area. And just the folding, just 2 more extra folding tables for training in our training room. And then the office desk is 2 more, just replacing desks. And that's it, just to update our equipment.
All right, very good. Any comments or questions on this item?
Judge, explain what a relation is to
to the community supervision.
Yeah.
Okay, Margaret, we fund you all, but there's reimbursement on, and I can't remember whether that's all or part of the funding that we get back from the state. I know your all's salaries are paid through the county, but we're reimbursed on that. And what about the operational expenses? I can't remember.
Well, the probation service fees that we collect, that is covering, we get some money from the state, and then most of our money, though, comes from what we collect from probationers, their monthly supervision fee. So as far as just overhead operating, I don't have specific answers for you at this time because I'm learning about the budget myself since September 1, being appointed the director. So.
But generally speaking, you all, even though we call you used to be the Wichita County Adult Probation Office, you all really are a state agency that's housed inside a county facility. We don't charge you rent for that, and you all provide those probationary supervisory services for the county.
Correct. Yes.
It's better than some of our other deals with the state.
I don't know, I always heard from you saying that, we provided the rent or the facility and utilities and that, and I didn't.
And everything else, generally speaking, will come from their fees and the reimbursement from the state.
Okay.
Margaret, do you have a video system over there now?
The security camera system?
Uh-huh.
Yes, we do.
Is this a replacement for that?
Yes.
Did you all look at anyone else doing that?
This is Mr. Johnson's work before he left. So I wasn't involved in, there was another quote that we had received, but it was really more costly.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And so we're looking at more of an economical cost.
Because we have been getting some competitive quotes from others on some jobs, some that are beyond their capability, but I'm thinking of the people in Burt Burnett, Bill.
Yes, EV.
Before,
And that might be who she has another quote on.
The other quote is through, both proposals were through Commercial and Industrial Electronics Incorporated. And one of the quotes was a little over $19,000, and
Whoa.
then this current.
that must have been the Facebook ready version, yeah.
Now, she picked the GE analog video system as opposed to that megapixel, whatever that is, that CNI also proposed.
Mm-hmm. So you think we ought to maybe let EV look at that and just...
Judge,
Yes, sir.
I would like to have what's the lady's name that did our furniture in here? Donna?
Donna from Hudson?
Yeah, to look at this proposal, or see if she wants to make a proposal on that.
Are we in a rush on this? We got a little bit of time?
We're in no rush.
Okay.
Good. Can we bring it back then?
Yeah,
next-
let's do
next
that.
week?
Which one of y'all is going to work with that, or divide that up? One of you talk furniture, one of you help her with the electronics, get them to look at it, or?
I deal with Donna. I would be glad to do that. On the other hand, I also deal with EV down. The last job they had was on the front doors. We can call them and ask them to go over there and look at that, Judge, and get a quote.
Okay.
Is this quote still? Yes, it's current, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, these are quotes, not competitive bids, is that
Right.
correct? Okay, so we wouldn't
Yeah,
have
it's
any
not,
problem.
no.
Yeah,
We wouldn't share them,
I
but
was gonna
we'd
say, if
ask
we
them
had bids,
to look at it and do the same thing.
it would be different, but that's a quote, so that'll work.
Commissioner, will you have those people get a hold of
Sure, I
Margaret
will.
so she can show them the
Yeah,
same things?
be
and
glad to.
Look at it. And,
We can do that this week, Margaret.
okay. Don't mean to hold you up, but there might be some savings to what you're spending there. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. You are welcome to stay, Margaret, but if you've got other things to do, you're certainly welcome. It's fine if you leave. Item number 4 is discuss and consider take action to approve the continued employment of 3 part-time temporary scanning clerks through a temporary staffing agency through December 31st, 2014 for the District Attorney's Office to assist in preparing and complying with the Michael Morton Act. The project cost of the extension of employment shall not exceed $39,000 to be funded as stated in Court Order 13.12.699, December 2nd, 2013, as determined by the County Auditor. Ms. Shelton? Okay.
Commissioners, Judge, originally I think the court, I didn't know how much it would cost, and so this is the first time we've ever dealt with scanners because of the Michael Morton Act. And I think we wanted to see how 6 months went, and so the court approved 6 months salary. We only have $3,351 left on what you approved. So I asked the auditor's office to project out through the end of the year to continue those 3 part-time scanners. In my budget presentation to you all, I'm requesting a full-time and a part-time in next year's budget. This is just to get me to January 1st. And you have a chart in front of you that sets that out. What we've used as of May 25th, what was approved, the amount remaining, and then the projection by the auditor's office, the $41,481.60. And then just to be on the safe side, we requested not to exceed $39,000, although we believe it'll only be $38,130.60.
How far back did you have to go, Maureen, to scan the record?
So far, we've only done offenses that are committed after January 1, 2014. We're going to go back, especially that grand jury referrals. I want those scanned in because as long as the statute of limitations hasn't run, we can proceed on those cases. So the backlog, once we get caught up, we'll start scanning older cases too that are pending. But there's approximately 6,000 cases filed with the DA's office every year, so they stay busy.
Do you have any feel for how many you all have done so far? Number of files that are on it?
Approximately 3,000 Melissa things.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And
So-
it comes in handy being able to email it to the defense, so much easier than printing and the cost of printing.
There was and this may have been more what Meredith reported, we talked about a portal is that online working yet, or is it still under development?
As far as I know, the last I heard, it was still under development. It would be nice to have the portal and then have the defense bar bear that expense of access. But right now we're emailing and it seems to be working.
Good.
Okay. Ultimately, we need that, I'm afraid, but it's sad that we're going to change around to something else that because the defense, we're going to have to work this out with them. I don't know how much that costs them to subscribe to that, but they're going to turn around and bill us that cost plus the cost of billing us that cost. I'm not sure I like that scenario, but it may be what happens.
Well, the bigger cities are doing the portals. I know Tarrant County does, I think Bexar County. And so the defense bar seems to be quite content with bearing the expense there.
Oh, okay.
And it seems to have worked. And I don't think it's outrageous, the cost. I think it's a
Okay.
yearly expense for them.
All right.
And then they can have as much access as they like.
Okay. All right. Very good.
These temps that you have in there, are they through my staff or those?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the plan is if the court approves the positions for 2014, we'd like to hire one of the 3 that we have now as a full-time employee. The problem with 3 part-time is first of all, the hiring, it takes us quite a while to get to 3, and then keeping them once they're here because they're seeking full-time employment.
Are we maybe being short-sighted if you've got somebody that you know you want to retain in that one, rather than risk that good person going somewhere else? Are we maybe not looking at that like we should right now?
I didn't know that you could hire full-time in the middle of the year. That's why I haven't requested. We have somebody that's actually, I'd like to have full-time, if her schedule allows.
Why don't you check that out, let us know, because I'd hate to see you have, because I know for a while you couldn't find them to have the background and all the other things, and if you've got somebody good, then that good person is likely to find a full-time job with benefits, and we lose y'all's investment in training them and doing that.
Right, it's hard to find somebody just because of the sensitive nature of the information that they're scanning in. So first of all, they have to pass the background check.
Right.
Which that took us several people we had to go through before we could even get somebody to interview.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, then we're proposing to carry this on into the 2015 budget.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is the sun's going to set it, in December. or something.
Right, and the only good thing about not telling them, if they know that one position is going to be there, they all try hard to get it. But now if you go ahead and hire, that may tell them, okay, there's not a chance, and one of us is going to have the other part-time position. But it sure might lock that in. Y'all, if you want to do that, come back to us and let's give that consideration, because I'd hate to see you lose somebody you've put that much time and investment in.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, but we can, as long as we don't, we can do these things when they make sense and we don't add to the total bottom line, then we can do that. And that's how we can do these other part-time positions like this. But maybe we ought to look at that one again.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you. The court have any other questions on this? If not, I'd like to ask someone to take action to approve it.
So moved.
Thanks, sir.
I'll second that, yeah.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez, second by Commissioner Mahler to approve the item as requested. Any other comments or questions?
So if we change this and have a permanent instead of the 3, we'd have a permanent and 2 temps, and bring this back and change that? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
The possibility of that.
That's correct, or even, throughout the end of the year, yes, we'd add
Yeah.
that.
And that's what's proposed in the 15 budget, is it not?
It's one full-time and one part-time
Right.
in budget.
Okay. So we'd still be in line for moving toward that changeover, change to the new year.
This Michael Morton caused a lot of problems.
He really
It
did.
has,
Well,
and
he
the
didn't,
legislature
but-
said it was a no-cost bill, and it actually was a pretty costly bill for counties.
Well, it was to them.
Well, yeah, they don't, you got to understand what they mean when they say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your association believed that, and so we didn't fight it from the judges
I'm on the
commission.
board, I fought it with the
Oh, I
NFDO
thought you-
Association,
well.
but because I knew the writing on the wall and the cost.
Yeah, but when Jim Allison said if their association had argued against it, I'd have a better chance of this. He didn't think it was worth the battle.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Well, we appreciate your efforts, man. So, okay. Call the vote then. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 4-0. Okay, item number 5 is discuss, consider, take action to accept the quote from Time Clock Plus Data Management Incorporated for 4 time clocks with barcode readers, badge swipe, including battery backup module for the use by precinct employees for a total cost not to exceed $8,466.48, and to authorize the installation of the time clocks estimated at $400 per clock, to include wiring for network drops, any necessary electrical wiring, hubs, or additional network equipment required to operate the clocks, with the total estimated cost of this project to be $10,070 to be paid from 10409.501 capital expenditures by transfer to Department 409 project lines as assigned by the county auditor. We had a work session on this, discussed it. It's really up to you all whether you want to do this or not.
Well, as of the end of that work session, Judge, there was quite a bit of, at least the kind of the poll that I saw of the people that everybody felt pretty comfortable with what they were doing currently. Unless I misread that.
No, it's the
The
same.
the problem I had with the deal, and there were a couple of them, is first of all, is that we are getting it done, and we're talking about a small number of employees, which I think is a much more manageable situation than what you find in some other departments. The other problem is I was a little disappointed that it doesn't interact and help Karen out in her duties. And
That's not a total statement. We
Okay.
paid money to have that interface done.
Okay.
And if there's something we didn't point out at that time, then we ought to resolve that. But that's the first time I heard that statement the other day.
And I think that she is going to, Judy, help me out here. I think that Karen is going to try to do the county clerk's stuff in hopes that the system won't fail, the old system that we've got. Does that sound right to you all?
She's gonna try.
And then, Judy,
I
another,
said very often that we've got two different systems, TSG and LSD.
Yeah, let's do it.
Once we try to import, for example, the sheriff's department, we got a good opportunity to crash our whole system. I mean, we're using a 10-plus year software. So that's not the first time I've said that.
No, but time clocks that conversion has been done in another location. It's not totally new science to them to do that. It's a matter of some point along the line, when you're going to fly that airplane solo, you have to get in the airplane and try it. And, we've gone a year
I'd rather
now.
try a car, Judge, because you're on the ground then.
You walk away.
There's more car wrecks than there are airplane crashes, Commissioner.
So looking at the interface, it's designed to download a file out of Time Clock Plus, and that electronic file is there for payroll, Karen, to review that file before she pushes it on to the system. So there's an interim period there where she looks at that file to see if it has all the components she needs before it moves over into the actual payroll system. So there are some safeguards there as far as what you're moving into the actual payroll system.
Right.
I would note a couple of things, Judge. First, I appreciated I think the sheriff was on board and wanted to get that time figured out so that we would never get into that situation with the jail folks again. And that was one of the reasons for the initiation, in my opinion. The other thing that I would mention is you've just received some recent correspondence that I don't know that I understand. For instance, Mr. Allison made a comment regarding in that email that you sent us to one of the judges. Thank you for good examples of why time clocks or sign-in, sign-out sheets are good policies. And I'm not sure about that sign-in, sign-out sheet, what they're talking about there. If it's something other than the time clocks, I would certainly be interested in what they're talking about.
All they're talking about is there's a sheet of paper. What are y'all doing now? Do you review your timesheets? Your foreman gets them, and the people put, I came at 8, or I came at 7, I took a half hour off at lunch. Part of the problem is, and this is where we got our legal opinion, we asked this to be looked at by the firm out of the Metroplex, came back and said, if your people are walking in routinely and putting 8 a.m. they get there, noon they went to lunch, and 1 o'clock they came back at 5, that's not reviewed favorably because they don't believe it really works that way. That people don't always start at 8 and always end at noon. Things happen. And so those are questionable that way. Then the other thing, and I don't know how this would be any different, in that email it mentions people will keep a second set of time. That is, they fill out their timesheet one way, but then they put down, well, I worked other. We've heard the statements in here that people, don't always get down their hours, and if we do this, it's going to cost more money. It's a good system. If it costs more money because we're paying people for the hours they worked, that's what we should be doing. We should not be a party to people working that we know of that they are not getting paid for, that are hourly personnel. And
I think you would see that more, Judge, my opinion only. I think you would see that more in an office environment than a precinct environment where the guys gather, have coffee, and at 8 o'clock they get up to go out and perform their job. They come in the evening, they fill out their time sheets, and they're ready to go at quitting time. They exit the building. And I don't know that that's the case in the offices, and I'm on shaky ground here, but that's my perception, and that's what I know about the precinct workers.
Yeah, I don't know why there would be a second record of timekeeping, Judge, when you sign that time card.
I agree with all. I'm just telling you that has been, and we have had, and luckily we had an instance where another person was keeping a tab on that person in their office, and we refuted an $11,000 claim for overtime.
And Judge, as I recall, the only time that ever occurred was probably 13 years ago, 14 years ago.
Well, no, that particular one that way, but in reviewing and working through this large dilemma with the Sheriff's Department, the auditor's office was able to demonstrate a lot of errors. I don't say necessarily fraud. In the other case, I think the lady should have been charged with fraud. But in the other cases, it was not understanding how to keep time, and so that person was working 40 hours, had a holiday, they were counted as that 8 hours as overtime. I think we saw some of that, or they had vacation mixed in there. They were counting overtime. You have to physically work 40 hours,
Sure.
And everything you physically work. But if you work 40 hours, add a holiday on, or have a vacation day, it's straight time hours.
Yes.
But those mistakes were being made. And the electronic system helps compute and track all that and do that. Lori, you've put it in your office. What are your feelings on it?
I see good things and bad things about it. My ladies, though, the problem is they forget to clock in, or they'll forget to clock out. Because you have to go into the computer, you have to go out on the internet and go into that system. I think if it was something, seeing that, I would like where they had the badges and they swiped their badges when they walked through my door. To me, that would be easier. That way they swiped the badge when they walked in, they swiped it when they walked out, instead of having to go onto a computer. If the internet's down, you can't log in because it's internet based.
Has that happened very often?
It hasn't. Some of our computers on the one side of the office doesn't really like the system, but I think that's just those computers.
But we're going to upgrade those, and
We're hoping.
you could walk over to another computer
Right.
and use it.
For a while, I had it on mine. Well, it is on mine. Would pull mine up and they'd come in my office and do it. But, the worst thing that in ours is them remembering to clock in or clock out. And understanding, like my voters' elections ladies, to have to switch over, when they did elections, to switch over to that part.
Code for, yeah. But when you got ready to tally up the hours and track people, it sure made that a lot easier, didn't it?
Yes. I mean, the reports, we are still learning. We call Judy quite often with, we need this report, and she's very helpful. I mean, it does wonderful reports, and it does keep up with vacation, the sick time, and that's something that I really, really like. Because
Simplifies your job, doesn't it?
yes, it does. Because I'm human and I can make mistakes on that.
It gives you, to me, and this is why I thought we were all heading, because, gang, you all have voted to order more licenses. If we're not going to have unused licenses that we paid for, based on the idea that the majority of county personnel, other than those that work for state elected officials, we can require to be on there. And we can require them to keep a timekeeping system, or either be on the time clock to do that. I'd rather not have to get into an arm wrestling battle with that, but it just defies me why anybody, and if this deal about I feel insulted to have to put, I have to worry. I have never been insulted to ask to be honest about something. And putting that time in there, filling those out, you know, and your people will become conditioned to it and they'll get better at that. But to me, that adds a whole lot more credibility to our time and payroll system than we have right now. Because the efforts we go through from the first year it was asked to report the auditor's office, when we had to start reporting for Gatsby 34, the accrual and all that, you know, it worked. It took a long time to get people to do that. And I dare say there's some offices now, if you go ask them, where's your timesheets for the last go-around, they're going to be hard to find. And I go through, and I don't think anybody reviews any more timesheets except for the sheriff's department than I do. And I strongly urge you all to adopt this and move and go forward with it, because it is a good business practice in a business our size. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I do have one more thing. It has helped on one of mine that, I don't want to say fudge on the timesheet, but now I know exactly when they clock in and when they clock out.
Mm-hmm.
So that does keep them accountable a little more.
Do you have it built in for yours for an hour for lunch, or they clock out at lunch and clock in after lunch?
They clock in, they clock out, and clock back in.
Okay.
Because, you know, there again, like you said, you're not, even though my office is split up on their lunches, it may be 11:05 or 11:15 before somebody actually gets to leave if they're with a customer.
Yeah.
Or like the past couple of weeks, I've had 2 people in my realty section. So sometimes if they get to lunch, it's a very short one.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. I'd like a motion either way. What I meant by that is y'all either vote it down, make a motion to not do it.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Okay.
And I'll second it.
And that is to,
Well, if we make a motion and second it, then you vote against it? Is that?
Yes, that's what you're saying.
That doesn't seem
well, it
like.
depends on how you make the motion. If you make the motion not to
Not
adopt
to
it,
accept it.
yeah.
I'm just not ready right now, Judge, is the deal.
I'll make the motion then not to accept is the way
Yeah.
I should have worded it then, Judge.
Okay.
And I'll second that we don't accept it this time.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Preston, a second by Commissioner Lawler not to accept the time clock system for the precincts. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-1. Okay, item number 6, discuss, consider, take action on the county treasurer's report for April 2014 and authorize commissioner and county judges to sign affidavits certifying compliance with section 114.026 parentheses C's for April 2014. Mr. Hampton.
Judge, Mr. Court, you have the numbers there in front of you for the month of April this year, and any questions, I'll be glad to respond to them. Give you an idea of where we are. If you're looking at that back sheet, we're 2% ahead of where we were trailing 12 months, and we're 4% ahead of where we were in 2012.
And when you say ahead, you mean we've spent more?
More dollars on hand than the previous
Good.
12 months.
It's great then.
Would that reflect spending or income or both? I mean, is that
A little bit of both.
combination of the two?
A little bit of both.
So if we spent 1% less and had 1% more income, that would still be a 2% behind where we were.
That'd be a way to.
That'd be one combination, okay.
But part of that, we've got to realize, okay, you've got, the precincts are going to see greater expense. That overall, your cash flow time
It's just coming up.
is just coming up. We have construction projects that are underway. So, you know, that overall gain should go down because of budgeted expenditures.
But if that's comparing to a
It's
year
my
ago this
understanding we're gonna
time,
be reimbursed for those funds, Judge, is that right?
Not all of them, no, sir, and only 80% on the reimbursement on that.
But that's, those are dollars well spent.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a better investment there than anything else we can get on return
Yeah,
on
that's
money,
what I
even
was
though you're
telling
doing.
Commissioner Gonzalez and I had a conversation Friday, and, we're getting 1% overall on our returns, and I don't look for it to get any better for the next 24 months. As a matter of fact, 17,000 closing in on the Dow, absolutely preposterous. I want to go on record as saying that. We've had 2 quarters of down GDP, which to me is a definition of recession. So all this other hocus pocus that you're hearing on TV, that's absolutely preposterous.
did I not hear last week that the Europeans are now in negative interest rates? Did I
Not only
understand
that,
right?
Commissioner, but 30% unemployment in Spain.
Yeah.
All of that, although, my main country is being a Texican, all that still, it washes back on us. And,
So if that's what the situation is, rather than receiving 1% of our money, we might very well be paying some institution 0.5% or whatever to house this money and secure it for us. Is that? That's what they're doing.
numbers wise, that's
Yeah,
what they're doing.
that's what they're doing. That's what's going on in Europe right now. So,
But, you got a Federal Reserve that's buying our own paper now. This is,
well, and to your point, Judge, about the percentage and comparing it to a year ago, but this is a comparison to a year ago and not the end of the year. So even the fact that we are going into a more expensive time, your point's well taken. Yeah, we are. We're about to go into our most expensive time next 3 months with the projects that we normally do in the summertime. But this is still a year-to-year at this date comparison. So
I expect there'll be some shrinkage, but still, those are dollars well spent.
No, there are, and the other thing is, seeing the reports out of Mr. Smythe's office, there's a very positive effort being made on collecting current taxes that are past due now and past due taxes from 2012 back. That's looks pretty positive in what they've been doing in both real and personal property tax areas. So, no.
they're cleaning some things up.
Yeah, yeah. So that part's good. Can I ask the court then to take action on Mr. Hampton's report?
I'd make motion that we approve the report, and I see we don't authorize you to sign. We all sign.
We all
you know?
sign,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Second. Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Mahler, second by Commissioner Gonzalez, that we go ahead and approve the report and authorize the signature by the members of the court. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. We are down to public comments. Anyone in the audience have anything to bring up? Okay, commissioners, y'all have anything?
Judge, I always bring this up with Bob Hampton, but as we move along, I know that one of these days we want to look at some work out at the construction out at the jail, and the judge and myself and others, Barry, have talked about utilizing some of our reserves for that. And when that time draws near, then we need to probably sit down and have a meeting with you and find out about all these different accounts, Bob.
Look at our portfolio, see how liquid we are, time constraints, those kind of things.
Exactly.
And what's available and what's comfortable, and, I mean, there's a lot to be talked about as far as reserves are concerned.
Well, we need to do that as soon as possible. I need to know, if you guys want to start spending, we need to go to cash. Sure don't want to get involved in some paper we'd have to sell.
I think what we're, if the target we've given Harper Perkins will hold in trying to have something ready to go out with by October, so we're going to need to determine what we'll have available. Now, we don't have to issue all of that. Let's say the project's going to cost $10 million, and we look at $6 million in cash we want to remove from the county's reserves and $4 million in certificates of obligation. Those would go first, so you'll have some time as that construction goes to we can schedule out to look at how that construction schedule will go with our need to pay our savings money out and then move on to that. So depending on how we structure that, but I would see Commissioner Preston in reference to what you're asking, one of you all, me, Mr. Hampton, Murphy Davis, and Ms. Stevens, to probably sit down and go over those, make sure we're all agreeable on the definition of the use of some of those accounts. We do have some restricted accounts. Mr. Wall will be in on that with his background. We've kind of talked to it, but Bob, I'll ask Joyce to get us something set up fairly soon. I'd rather know what we're looking at sooner than later, and especially from how you manage the money to get all you can out of it. So, okay. All right. Anything else?
Some very, very good rain the
Yeah.
last 48 hours. Very well received.
The 10 o'clock rain's a little late to start. Maybe it's on a different time zone. Than,
Yeah, maybe.
But
There is a Thursday chamber meeting, Judge, in Electra. If you would, any of you guys would like to attend.
okay. Anyone else think of anything else to share? Okay. Then it is 10:55 and we're adjourned.